We're now 7 seasons deep into AMC's The Walking Dead, and it's safe to say that the vast majority of casting decisions made by The Walking Dead's powers that be are spot on. From the likes of Andrew Lincoln and Melissa McBride to Lenny James, the casting and acting is by and large brilliant. But every now and then they stumble and make some quite questionable choices indeed, creating characters that seem to serve no purpose in the show and casting actors that seem hard-pushed to bring them to life. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and here are the 10 worst casting mistakes in The Walking Dead. Number 10. Overzealous shadowboxing Woodbury extra. Singling out the performance of a presumably non-professional extra may seem like a low blow, but there's actually more to the role than just hovering around in the background filling out space, and so when an extra's performance is so distractingly bad, it can cheapen the whole production. Case in point, an extra from Season 3 who shall henceforth be known as Overzealous Shadowboxing Woodbury Extra, which is catchy as hell. Cast your mind back to episode The Suicide Kings, in which the nutjob governor orders brothers Merle and Daryl Dixon to fight to the death for fun because fighting to the death is fun. While they're being egged on by a crowd of rowdy Woodburyans, whatever the collective term is, there's a particularly enthusiastic extra who's taken her blood-baying motivation a bit too far with a bit of laughable shadowboxing. It's rubbish. Number 9. Chandler Riggs, Carl Grimes. Another low blow now, and while it might be a bit mean to hate on child actors, there's still something a tad cringy about the acting behind Carl Grimes. The funny thing about Riggs is that he often does a great job with his more dramatic, darker scenes, like after Laurie's death or when he and Rick think Judith has died after the fall of the prison, but in scenes that call for a more natural style, or as natural as someone can be in a zombie apocalypse, he seems to fall flat. It kind of makes for an inconsistent, hit-and-miss performance that makes his character less believable. Riggs is still developing his craft though, so there's a good chance he'll get better as Coral's story progresses. Moreover, of the other kid actors on the show, he's definitely the best of the worst. Number 8. Travis Love, Shumpert Extra. Season 3's Shumpert, aka the Bowman for his archery skills, played by Travis Love, is a perfect example of another naff extra. In case you need a refresher, Shumpert was one of the governor's henchmen alongside Martinez and suffered a rather unceremonious off-screen death in Season 4. All the actor really did was stand around looking tough, menacing, and weary, which is kind of understandable considering he was under the thumb of the increasingly crazy governor, but he could have given the role a better go with a more, shall we say, nuanced range of facial expressions. Even when he did get a bit of dialogue, the highlight of which was, "Martinez, we've got biters," it wasn't all that great. Convincing enough, yeah, but hardly an Emmy Award-winning performance. Number 7. Multiple babies, Judith Grimes. To date, a grand total of 16 tiny actresses have played the character of Judith Grimes since her first appearance in Season 3. This constantly evolving cast of babies is proof of how hard it is to write an infant character into a TV show, especially one set in a zombie apocalypse. After going against comic canon and not killing off Judith after the fall of the prison, you'd assume the powers that be had made an executive decision to set her up as a central character. Plus, and this should not go without saying, children this young simply can't act. Any appropriate reaction, like looking scared or bewildered, is just pure happenstance, and Judith's casting and the performances of the actresses who play her will only be more of an issue in future seasons too. Number 6. Liz E. Morgan, Tina. You'd be forgiven for forgetting who the hell Tina is, considering the record speed with which she was introduced and dispatched, but to refresh your memory, she's the diabetic sister of Dwight's wife Cherie, who made her first and only appearance in Season 6's Always Accountable. Tina was just a lowly redshirt CA character introduced to be killed off, arguably inserted into the plot to help Daryl look like a hero, but that's still no excuse for bad acting, and to be fair, she got a good amount of screen time in that episode, so it's not like she didn't have anything to work with. Instead of making anything resembling an impact, Morgan gave a wishy-washy performance that's far from memorable. In fact, the most memorable part of it was her death scene, which was one of the show's more laughable deaths to date. Number 5. Christine Woods, Officer Dawn Lerner. There was a lot riding on the performance of actress Christine Woods as Officer Dawn Lerner, the stern, stoic, and slap-happy main villain of Season 5's Grady Memorial Hospital arc, who oversaw her group of rampant rapist lawmen and not-so-merry band of slaves with an iron fist. As the show's first real female villain, Woods really had to put on a good show to hopefully pave the way for more non-male antagonists in the future, but in the end, her efforts were a rather unconvincing pop at villainy that swerved maniacally between sincere, morally conflicted good cop and power-tripping bad cop, punctuated by cheesy dialogue delivered in the most trite fashion. Number 4. Major Dodson, Sam Anderson. The kids of Alexandria are the sheltered and naive antithesis of Carl Grimes, and not every child is going to take to the zombie apocalypse like a duck to water, but all Dodson does is look petrified, and not the kind of petrified that makes you want to protect him, but the kind that makes you want to chuck him into a herd of zombies yourself. You can't help but think that a slightly more varied performance would have made his short time on the show a hell of a lot more bearable, and his other acting credits to date may have something to do with it. He spent a few episodes on American Horror Story held captive by a killer clown, and co-starred in fellow apocalypse drama Left Behind, so it's not like he's had much practice with acting beyond looking very scared. Get some practice. Number 3. CHERIE DVORAK, Donna. Fans of Robert Kirkman's original comics will know that the TV version of Donna differs greatly from her comic counterpart. Her role is reduced from the mother of twins, Ben and Billy, who sort of became the Lizzie and Mika on the show, to that of a tiny bit part where she's killed off almost as quickly as she's introduced. Of course, that's more of a problem with the writing, but still you have to work with what you've got, right? And Dvorak, quite frankly, doesn't. After her debut in Made to Suffer, when Tyrese and the other Woodbury defectors are on their way to the prison, she immediately gets her arm chomped on by a walker and proceeds to demonstrate her character's arm pain by limping with her leg. She might just be a red shirt, but a basic sense of anatomy goes a long way. Number 2. ALANNA MASTERSON, Tara Chandler. Perhaps it's because her character is written as the lovable goofball of the group, but there's more to Masterson's disappointing performance than just her awkward attempts at infusing humour into a largely unfunny character. Her underreactions to the deaths of Tara's nearest and dearest are proof of Masterson's inability to put a bit of emotion and depth into her character. After witnessing her sister Lily get swarmed by walkers, for example, during the fall of the prison, she's more nonplussed than devastated. Similarly, in Season 6, when she gets the triple whammy of her girlfriend's Denise death and her friends Abe and Glenn's demise, Masterson looks despondent. A little more reaction than meh wouldn't go amiss. Number 1. Emily Kinney, Beth Greene. Originally more of a minor character after the episodes focusing on Daryl and Beth rolled around, followed by the Grady Hospital arc, something became apparent. The more screen time and dialogue Emily Kinney got, the more her acting talents, or lack thereof, were exposed. There's just something grating about Beth, and by extension, Kinney. That wide-eyed and innocent deer-in-the-headlights nonsense this far into an apocalypse feels cutesy and forced. If Kinney had infused her performance with a bit more grittiness and cynicism by the time her death rolled around, it would have made for a far more believable Beth. Ultimately, a couple of accent coaching lessons to realise there's more to a Southern American accent than just dropping the G off every word ending in ing, and learning to cry convincingly would have helped immeasurably. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the Whatculture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and thanks for watching. Oh, hello there. I'm billionaire philanthropist, not Bruce Wayne, and as you may have heard, we've actually started up a Whatculture comics channel. Oh, that's better. Where you can go for all the comics lists, all the comics news, and all the comics discussion. So go and subscribe to Whatculture Comics for loads of amazing comics coverage.